live from the start of 2024. It's going to be a good year.
Is it?
Yeah. Come on.
It could be the last year. I don't mean of Geekshow. I mean of the world. But there you go. Also, we're late because of some personnel and technical issues. And yes, my butthole is fine. On this episode. Hi, everyone. Oh, now Mike.
Hello. Oh, now Mike's gone. We can't
Mike's
hear
gone.
his mic.
We were having the problems we were having were with our newest member, Robert Neal, and now Mike's voice is gone. We can see you.
Can't hear Mike's mic.
I guess you can hear us, but we can't hear your microphone, Mike. Anyway, Robert Neal is joining. Hi, everybody. Hi, Robert.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Good to be
member
here.
Of the Geek Show panel. Quad T, Too Tall Tony, drinking his energy drink, full of energy.
Guru. It's going to be a good year.
Is that what you got?
Yeah.
I went energy drink shopping just recently.
What did you get?
Gatorade.
Jolt Cola.
Gatorade.
Gatorade.
Wait, the new Gatorade energy drink or just
No,
regular
just
Gatorade?
plain old Gatorade, because that's what a colonoscopy demands.
Boo!
I know. But in my shopping adventures, though, it was fascinating seeing all of the different kinds and all of the different flavors. And I'm walking up and down the aisle going, clear liquids. That's all I could do. Nothing red. Oh, good luck. That's 95% of them. Okay.
That's true.
Yeah, that was fun. I remember having one of those a couple of years back, and it's like I can drink these few things and miss all of that. Nothing red, nothing orange.
So, being a traditionalist, I go with Gatorade because it was the first one. And, it does the whole, electrolytes thing and all that. Get your sodium and everything back where it needs to be. It's not overtly sweet. But what flavor is Arctic Blast?
That's a great question. I have no
Blue
idea.
Blast. Blue is not
It's
a
blue.
flavor.
Oh, this wasn't even blue. This was like snow,
Oh, that's right. I'm thinking of Glacier Freeze.
Glacier
Which is
Freeze.
the blue
Glacier
one.
Freeze is the blue one, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway. All right. And Mike, are you back? Did you? Nope.
He is
doesn't
not
know what
back.
So he's just going to have to be our ASL member
Oh,
this
but
week.
I need Mike on this episode because we're going to do a deep dive into Star Wars land, and he's the only other person who has been there before.
I tried muting and unmuting. Mike? No.
help.
I think Mike is just messing with us now.
Just reload the page. There we go.
Reload the page.
All right. And
But,
don't forget about our fearless host. He's back. His colon is all right.
It's
I think
clean.
we all hope. And he's Kerry Jackson.
Yes, my doctor
Yay.
came in and says, "Very good news, Mr. Jackson. Only one polyp. You look great. Get out of here." And I went, "Okay, good. Thank you."
Nice.
Did you get the 5-year pass?
5-year pass. We're good for
Nice.
5 years. Another
When
5
do
years.
I have to start doing this?
How old
What's
are you
the
now?
age, Robert?
38.
It's not a trick question, Tony.
Well, I had to think about it.
I know they start recommending them at 50. I think that I had my first one, however, because of an issue when I was like in my early 20s.
Oh, okay. So you got one that was recommended by your doctor because of your reasons.
Because of my GI tract was trying to just invert itself.
Oh,
And they're like, we want to see what's going on here. And it was just something transitory. But
nice.
started getting them regularly 3 years ago.
speaking of your insides trying to kill you, we'll have a Lee George Cade update coming up very soon.
Oh, good.
Mike, did you make it back?
Am I back?
He's
Yes.
back.
Oh, my
to the working
goodness.
week. There we go.
Hooray.
Welcome back.
It's our good friend and attorney, Mike Anderson. Hi, everybody.
Lawyer to the stars.
Yes.
Look at me. I'm Rebecca now.
Yeah.
This is the,
He's the Rebecca now.
Just real quick, Jay Whitaker, he's a traveling comedian. He said he'd be unable to join us today. As soon as he gets his headquarters set up somewhere, we'll have him on a regular basis. He has not quit the show, just so everyone knows. All right. Rebecca has had a family emergency, so she had to be away today, and that's why we're starting a little late. Well, we're starting a little late because Tony had a work thing. But
Yeah, that was my fault.
yeah, so that's why we're starting a little late. But everything's fine and we're good. All right, let's begin. Now, we talked about this story a few weeks ago. And it was an interview with Robert Kirkman, the creator of The Walking Dead and Invincible. He was being interviewed on a podcast. Hate podcasts. He was being interviewed on a podcast, and he was saying, because he's friends with Stephen Yeun, who plays the lead on Invincible and was in The Walking Dead, of course. He says, I just heard from Stephen Yeun, and he said to me, why is it that I only play superheroes dressed in yellow and blue? And so the people on the podcast were like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And he says, well, I don't work for Marvel. I can just say these things.
There we go.
What do I care? He's the Sentry in the new Thunderbolts movie.
Or so we thought.
Or so we thought until this week. And so the story is released. Stephen Ewan will not be in Thunderbolts, and they talk about a scheduling issue. But does it seem like a scheduling issue now that with this knowledge that you know? Could this be Marvel saying, yeah, you violated your secrecy document.
You spilled the beans.
And
Secrecy document is the legal terminology.
that's the legal term. I didn't want to go too deep, Mike. I was going to let you step in. But confidentiality, what do you think they have at Marvel?
Well, I'm sure all of the talent is subject to confidentiality provisions in their agreement.
Yeah.
I think this could just be a couple things. The MCU isn't doing as well as it has been. Mm-hmm. I also think, if you're a growing star, the bigger money is in longer term, characters that will carry over from project to project versus, the big bads, like the Sentry was, I think we've heard has been positioned to be in Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
That's sort of a one-off gig, which is better for like an established actor like Jake Gyllenhaal or something like that. So
John Hamm.
Yeah. So I don't know. It could be could be a breach of the agreement, but I think that it's probably just thinking about careers and where this project is being positioned.
Because the wording of the statement was so vague about schedules, and it was it was so, excuse me, lawyerly written. There was no
the worst kind of writing.
Exactly. There was no specifics. So anyway, so there's that. We'll leave with that story.
But have you heard who the fan base wants for the Sentry now?
John Hamm?
Not John Hamm. Alan Richardson, who's on Reacher, the Reacher series.
He deserves a bigger role too. If you
Fans are also casting him as Batman, and I think he's more of an older Red Hood.
Okay.
Red Hood.
Right? I
Okay.
think,
Well, I would just say if you're watching the latest season of Fargo, you can see what a bad guy John Hamm can be.
Menacing.
And how intimidating and menacing he can be. And there are times when the Sentry needs to be that. And I think he'd look great in the costume. And
So not Tom Cruise.
not Tom Cruise.
I mean, he could.
Tom Cruise in an apple crate.
Yes.
Well, I mean, let's look at it this way, though. I mean, if they could make Elijah Wood and Sean Astin small to be hobbits, they could size up Tom Cruise.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
that's
could.
true. That's
Sure they
true.
could. All right, let's see our next bit of news. This Wolfman movie. Now, here's something I've noticed, and maybe it's just me, but they're not making it one word, Wolfman. In all the promotion for this new Wolfman movie, it's two words, Wolfman. Anytime I've ever seen the Wolfman, it's one word. But that's, like I said, maybe I'm reading too much into it. But they've cast Julia Garner, one of the stars of the crime series Ozark, will star opposite Christopher Abbott in Wolfman. And this is a Blumhouse Universal Pictures deal. Garner will play the mother whose family is being terrorized by a lethal predator, a wolf man. Abbott is playing the father, and that was the role that was going to go to Ryan Gosling. And he backed out. He's going to stay on producing the movie, but he's not going to do the movie.
Hold on.
Because he's too busy with Fall Guy.
Or maybe he's being cast as the Sentry.
You know what? I think you're on to something.
That would be a good casting, I think. But that Fall Guy movie is either going to be there. She is. That Fall Guy movie is either going to be really funny or really terrible. I don't
And I'm
think
hoping the former.
I think it's going to be good.
It looks fun, I think.
It looks
Yeah.
like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right.
But only if they get a Lee Majors cameo in it.
Is he still alive?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wheel him out.
Okay.
Put him in a wheelchair.
Yeah,
bring him out.
really.
Now, what I want to see is this actress in the Madonna biopic.
She could do it.
She's rumored for that.
She is.
It's rumored, but yeah.
She could do it.
She definitely could do it.
And she's up and coming. She's the hot new thing apparently.
Yep.
Okay. And speaking of the hot old thing, John Waters, ladies and gentlemen,
Baltimore
John.
Zone.
Baltimore's own John Waters, who is a
Waters.
delight, by the way. I've interviewed him twice, and one time he came in just to talk about his Christmas album, where he introduced us to the song, which is now a Radio from Hell classic. He introduced us to the song "Santa Claus is a Black Man." Wonderful thing.
Doing God's work, John Waters. Thank you.
Exactly. But I did not know this because I have not watched the Child's Play movies or series through. I've seen maybe 1, 2, and that's been, it's on, like kind of thing late at night. John Waters is returning to the Child's Play franchise as Wendell Wilkins, who is the reclusive creator of the Good Guy dolls. I didn't know that.
Huh.
And boy, what a perfect choice, right?
Last time we saw John Waters, he was getting his face melted off.
That's
in,
right.
One of the Chuckies, I forget.
He will be in the second half of Chucky's 3rd season. So look for that. Other casting. Who's watching Foundation here? Is anyone?
Me, I am.
Okay,
I'm
well
trying
then
to
you're
find a
excited.
John Waters picture. No, I'm already past it.
It's
I
too
didn't
late.
get him for some reason.
Alexander Siddig, Dr. Bashir, has
Dr.
joined the
Bashir.
cast of Foundation's 3rd season
I got
as
that one.
Dr. Ebling Miz.
Is he be genetically enhanced?
A
secretly?
self-taught psychohistorian and diehard fan of Harry Seldon. What does that mean?
So,
Tony?
psychohistory is the equation that Harry Seldon invented or worked out to where you can use all of the happenings of the past to predict the future.
No, okay.
And
Easy.
so, yeah, he's if he's a big follower of Harry Seldon, in the second season, they do a lot of time like leaps because there's cryogenic, freezing, so you can go to sleep and wake up 35 years later. Anyway, the second season takes place 100 or so years after the first season, and the Foundation has become a religion now instead of just a scientific organization. So
Okay. Maybe I need to start watching this show.
it's a cool show. Yeah.
Right. Well, he'll be joining, and he hasn't looked that good in a long time.
I
Anyway,
know this is a really old picture.
I thought you'd find like where he was Ra's al Ghul on the Batman TV show.
Nah, Dr. Bashir, man.
Yeah. Good call.
Oh, and speaking of Dr. Bashir, I can't wait for the Space Show to get out of Next Generation and into something else.
Hey, now, come
I'm
on.
sorry,
Harry.
it's like homework, folks. It's
just the first 2 seasons. It gets really good after that.
anyway. I just, as it goes along, I keep thinking, God, I can't wait for Deep Space Nine. God, I can't wait. Anyway, but more Space shows coming up. Even though we've got some personnel and technical issues, we got more Space shows coming up. Stand by for those. And Lee George Cade, I was going to talk about. Lee, God bless him, he's still at home. I mean, he's back at home, I should say. He had to go back to the hospital for a couple of days. There were some setbacks, and that seems to be his progress, is 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But his insides are all wrong, and they're trying to kill him. But he will be back. He always tells me, remind everyone, I've not left the show. I'm still on the show. I'm just kind of, trying to
Not die.
trying to not die. Thank you very much.
Trying to
Can't we just get him to one of those guys on Tatooine to just replace his insides with like droid parts and call it good?
Yeah, or
Wow.
just toss them in a bacta tank.
Is that a special part of Star Wars land? We'll be talking about that coming up. But everyone, you can help Lee get all the help and comfort that he needs because, well, I mean, my medical procedure I had this weekend is absolutely minor compared to what Lee went through. But boy, all of the money and paperwork, this for-profit health system that we have here in America. Oh,
get
man,
me
I tell you.
started.
Best system in the world, Carrie. Best
Yeah.
system
That's
in the
right.
world.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I got a friend of mine who just died recently who had to keep going in for treatments. I'm not going to get too specific, but they said we're going to have to do another blood transfusion, and he looked up at them and said, "No, let's just not." And he died last night. Yeah, that's your
Sorry for
for-profit.
your loss.
Yeah.
yeah.
R.A.P. Duck. Let's see. So, Lee, go to our not our Patreon. Go to our Twitter feed. Go to our Facebook page. The QR code is posted there, and you can donate to Lee via that. There it is, right there, via Venmo. Get your money to Lee. He's he's going to need. He's got the home health care nurse stopping by. They were talking about a hospital bed. I don't know where that went, but. it's expensive to be Lee right now. So if you can help out, if you can, right there's the Venmo code.
Help fund his cybernetic enhancements.
Boy, I think that'd be a great idea.
The $6 million Cade.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm just saying.
Could you
just throwing that out
imagine
there.
as into like miniatures and everything as he is? If he, ooh, that got me excited.
Oh yeah. We'll be. Maybe we can fund that someday. Speaking of funding, our Patreon is still a go. So I'm gonna start making some more videos here in the new year, sometime this week. I'll be throwing some more at you, and so go to our Patreon, geekshowgotthiscovered.com. I'll have some more Patreons of the Time Closet coming up, and some other stuff. You also get Space Show early there as well. Also, our merchandise. Go to geekshow.store is where you go. That's the only place to get our merchandise. There's a fake Facebook thing out there trying to convince you that they're where you get the merchandise. No. The only place to get our merch is at geekshow.store.
Except
The only
no
place to get the
substitutes.
merch and to read the descriptions of the merch.
Which are epic, by the way.
Right.
So, so go and take a look at our merch. Now that you've got your holiday money that your aunt gave you, go and buy something that she won't understand, which is a Geek Show hoodie. There we go. All right, let's get back to some news. Now, I read this and I thought this is interesting, but then I read further and I went, why would you do that? So Morris Chestnut, whom I think is a great actor. I think he should have played Luke Cage, honestly.
Ooh, yeah, it would have been a good.
That's me.
Cage.
Okay.
I think he's a better actor than the guy.
Mike
who's-
Coulter.
Mike Coulter. Yeah, I think he's a better actor than Mike Coulter. But Morris Chestnut is attached to star in Watson, which is a new medical drama at CBS. Now, what it does is it's the continuing adventures of Dr. Watson after the death of Sherlock Holmes. Takes place a year after the death of Holmes at the hands of Moriarty. So I thought to myself, let's do a Batman show without Batman.
Thank you.
Well, hang on now. Yeah, but think of how effective he'll be now that he doesn't have that drug-addled albatross overshadowing him.
Wow.
Yeah, Holmes, he's the albatross of those stories, certainly.
Drugs or not, he was effective, Tony.
All right.
When you mentioned that, Carrie, I was the first thing I'm like, oh, it's Gotham Knights, but with Sherlock Holmes. Got it.
Exactly. Let's do a Batman show without Batman, but let's do a Sherlock Holmes show
Or
without
the
Sherlock.
first Birds of Prey.
Yes, thank you.
You
So
mean
anyway.
like the very first one back in the early 2000s? Yeah.
That's the one.
So look for that show. Your aunt will be watching that and not understanding it because she'll be sitting there going, "Where's Sherlock Holmes? I don't understand. Who is this black man? I don't understand."
Something
Who's this not Luke
happened.
Cage?
Where's the
Something
heroin? Where's the heroin addicted violinist? Where's he at?
Yeah, where is he?
Carrie, what did your aunt do to you over the holidays? Something happened.
That's for off the air. Well, more news here. Now, we talked about, and we showed the trailer drop for this, and everyone knows how much I love these Planet of the Apes movies, all of them. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Now, when we showed you the trailer originally, I was under the assumption that the star of the show was Caesar's son, because
Same.
we were introduced to him. That is not correct. As it turns out, they're doing a jump forward in time. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is set 300 years after the ending of War for the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Westball explained that the time jumps puts distance between his movie and the original reboot, allows for Caesar's legacy to have been partially lost in the generations since. So it's like legends, not necessarily facts. We can't say, "Hey, Caesar, what do you know?" For this new film, our point of view of the character is a character called Noah. It's not Caesar's son, played by Owen Teague, who has no clue whatsoever who Caesar is/was, and he ends up trying to establish a better future for apes and humans alike. His story will involve a discovery of that legacy and its various interpretations. Noah has to make sense of what it all means. So,
I
there we go.
apologize. Right now, because as soon as you start talking about this and the fact that it's a time jump and we don't have Caesar, the only thing that popped in my head was Great Caesar's Ghost.
Heyo.
And I know, and I watched this trailer so many times, and I've noticed that the apes are speaking more clearly. They've got their language down, and I'm like, that wouldn't happen in just one generation.
Yeah, makes sense.
So it's Ape Trek: The Next Generation.
Thank you.
Plus, it makes it easier to establish its own trilogy if there's a really big time gap.
That's
in
true.
between.
That's true.
And it just puts more time between Marky Mark and the Monkey Bunch Planet of the Apes.
Why would you want to put more time between that? Come
What
on.
remains
reasons.
I think there is a Caesar, Proximus Caesar.
Well, it says what remains of Caesar's
Yeah.
message in the present day has been twisted by Proximus, the crown-wearing monkey that we see here.
Okay.
At the end of the trailer, played by Kevin Durand, Proximus runs an ape clan on the coast, took Caesar's name as his own because of how much weight it carries. So he's name-jacking. Self-proclamation done by Proximus as a means to further his people's evolution. He says, like in every morsel of human history, there's always some type of tyrant who comes along and scares everyone into believing them. Sounds familiar. Let's see.
Well,
so, yeah.
it's got like the Roman Empire where they just took Caesar's name and made it the top
title.
pick. So yeah.
I love these movies so much, and they're so good. So Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is May 24th, 2024. So that's coming up. Let's see, what else? Oh, yes, Daredevil. Now, and more specifically, Echo. I rewatched Hawkeye this past weekend because it is a Christmas project, and watching Maya Echo in the whole thing. And during a recent appearance, Vincent D'Onofrio said that he believes that Daredevil Born Again will be released under Echo's Marvel Spotlight banner, the new sub-label reserved for more grounded character-focused stories unconcerned with the MCU's wider mythology. He says, that's my opinion. I imagine it would be. Nobody has said, hey, did you know this? This is happening. Nobody said that, but at the same tone and feel as Echo. The attention to that the bosses are giving is extraordinary, and Charlie Cox and I are amazed at how much they care about the series. I can't imagine being treated any less. And there's a new trailer for Echo out right now. They're dropping them because it starts on Tuesday. And they're going to drop all 5 episodes at once. It really looks epic and violent and wonderful. And there's a fight that was released, that was leaked footage that I got to see, that was Daredevil versus Echo.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of that.
Each giving each other, just standing up to each other just fine. That's it. It just looks great. I'm very, very excited about this. So that's on Tuesday.
Which costume was Daredevil in? I didn't see that.
It was, it's
dark.
that thing. It's that thing that Lee complains about, how they're darkly lit so that you
Yeah.
can't see what's really going on. It looked to me like the red and blacks to me.
I thought so too.
Yeah. Not the yellow from She-Hulk, no. If that's what you're wondering.
That was what I was wondering.
Well, and I saw a couple articles over the last few days that one of the Marvel producers stated that the Netflix Daredevil stuff is part of the MCU now. Like it
canon.
is considered.
Well, it's not just that. All of the pre MCU shows they're saying are now. So like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. gets folded back in.
Oh, all of it. Very
yeah.
nice.
Really?
Here's the
Yeah,
issue,
it's
though. If we're-
multiversal canon,
That's
but
it.
canon.
That's true. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can just fold it into the multiverse stuff.
Because, after rewatching Hawkeye and seeing, Kingpin's participation there, he was a different Kingpin than we saw in Daredevil.
Yeah, slight twist on
Slight twist. He dressed differently, and he was stronger. He was significantly stronger. He seemed to have more of a power about him. He was able to take an arrow to the chest and just break it off, and was
Yeah.
fine.
That kind of plays into the classic comic Kingpin,
Yep.
where he was like this massive. He's not fat. He is just 400 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, exactly. One of my favorite things, Battlestar Galactica.
Oh yeah.
The new Battlestar Galactica reboot, we got an update because this was announced some time ago. It will not be based on that 2004 version.
What?
That
I'm
was
out.
so good. That
Is
was
it
so
going back
good.
to 78?
That's why I'm saying leave it alone. Leave that 2004 version alone. It's perfect where it is. But Mr. Robot creator Sam Esmail it was announced he's developing a new version of Battlestar Galactica. It was 5 years ago we announced that. And in that time, we haven't had much updates because he's been working on so many other things. But we're getting a report now that it's being developed for Peacock, so you're going to need your Peacock to watch it. It will now be written, executive produced, and showrun by Derek Simons, who created the 2017 USA show The Sinner, starring Bill Pullman, which is really quite good and something that you should go and take a look at. He also created a USA cable show called, that was The Sinner. Also the show Call Me By Your Name. He will be taking over for Michael Leslie, who was announced back in 2020. Ismail remains as an executive producer. So it seems like, what he originally said way back holds true, or we'll find out at least. But it is going forward. You will have more Battlestar Galactica in your future.
So it's just a straight reboot, though. They're just going to retell.
Yeah. Let me find the
So,
details.
Technically, the 2004 one was a continuation of the 1970s one in a fashion.
I think it's back. Yeah, I think that it was sort of it was like a requel type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've heard about this new one is that it's not undoing 2004. It's expanding that universe in that space.
Here's what it is.
What does it say?
Ismail said his version of Battlestar Galactica is not a remake of the 2004 or even the 78 original. He said it will be a new story within the mythology.
Oh, okay.
Or at least that was the case 5 years ago. So
Well, that makes it sound like it might not even have the Galactica in it because...
damn well better.
Well, if you're going to have a side story that doesn't involve any of that other stuff, then you have to be somewhere that isn't where the other stuff you're not messing with is happening.
Just give me more
So it's
spaceships.
another Last Battlestar. Another, because there was the Pegasus, wasn't there?
Yeah, they had the
So
Pegasus.
it's another
Which
Last
maybe got
Last
destroyed.
Battlestar.
Who knows? But here's the thing. People know of my love for Star Wars and Star Trek. The best sci-fi ships, fight me, Battlestar Galactica. I'm sorry.
The Galactica or the Vipers?
Both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I love them both. Anyway. Okay, there's some business of show stuff. Blumhouse and Atomic Monster. It's a mighty Marvel team-up. Boy, they're joining forces. They are merging. So this is Jason Blum and James Wan. They're
like
going
a
to merge.
two-piece Megazord.
Yeah, they're gonna merge. And so it'll be, I don't know
That's
what it'll
just
be,
the legs.
whether it'll be called
It's just the crotch and a thigh. It's
Atomic Blumhouse or
Atomic Monster. Or
Blum
Atomic House.
Monster. Who knows what it'll be called. Oh, it says here it'll work as separate labels to remain creative independent. But three-way ownership structure split by Blum, Wan, and Comcast, NBC Universal.
So it'll be all Peacock stuff now again.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where you'll
Yep.
get to see the stuff is on Peacock. Of course, these are the people who brought us, Megan and all those, the movies, Conjuring movies, all those.
it's a huge deal.
It
These
is.
These guys are worth a lot of box office.
What's
So-
great about these, because these movies are inexpensive to make,
I was going to say,
comparatively,
yeah.
and they're critic-proof, and they make their money back on the first weekend usually. That's what's amazing.
Well, the business model is even a little bit more sophisticated in that they generate a ton of content, but they only push to theatrical releases the ones that are testing really well. So that's why you see like these numbers that Carrie, you just alluded to, that like, wow, where did Megan come from? Well, they had a pretty darn good feeling that Megan was going to be a hit before they pushed it to theatrical. Otherwise, they have streaming output deals, and that's where those projects
where the rest
end
of the
up.
stuff goes,
yeah,
yeah.
The one wrinkle in all of that is The Exorcist, which
Yeah.
is that was a $400 million acquisition of those rights for Universal, and it made not nearly enough money. I forget what the box office number
It
was.
did not
but
do well, yeah.
yeah, it did do well.
And now we got the Omen prequel
Yeah.
coming up, which, anyway. But Wan and Bloom have said the partnership will encourage greater collaboration between the two, and you'll get more output. He says, we usually don't put out more than 3 and 4 theatricals a year. My hope is that with James, we can double that to 6 or 8. Well, let's not go too crazy, guys.
Yeah. Don't let your quality slip just for
Exactly.
quantity.
And in
When
the
has
news,
that ever been a problem, Tony?
Oh, only everywhere all the time.
You mean oversaturating the market is a bad thing?
Yeah, it's not good.
And finally,
want
this.
money.
I've got two big
mean-
stories here, but you know what? I don't want to dwell on these because it's a bummer. But the BBC is responding to anti-trans Doctor Who complaints.
I think you should expand on that because I think that this is worth going into. Because
Okay.
they not only that, but also the same kind of feedback they got when they announced that Ncuti Gatwa was going to be the Doctor. It's like, Black Doctor, really?
Yeah.
So I think that the BBC and going, we're inclusive. This is what we do. If you don't like it, we're sorry.
Here's the part of the
Watch
story
something
that
else.
here's the part of the story that I relate to and angers me the most, and that is, and Mike knows this. I can get huge ratings on the radio show, but if I get one complaint email for some reason, all of the people who are listening to and enjoying my show don't
They don't
count.
count, yeah.
That one complaint email is what management will bite into and gnaw on for weeks.
So you've never worked in IT, have you?
I was going to say,
You know, it's
Carrie,
the
you've
exact
never
same
been
thing.
me.
And you've
welcome
never
to
been
my
Mike.
welcome to my world. As a network engineer,
But here's
my
the
best,
specific.
my biggest compliment is when nobody says anything to me.
Exactly.
That's how I know
Exactly.
everything's going
Yeah.
well.
But here's the specifics about this anti-trans stuff. The BBC received, get this, we're talking about a worldwide property,
Yep.
okay?
Not a small
What?
one either.
No, 144 complaints.
144.
But that's a gross.
That is a gross. They got a gross number of complaints, Carrie.
But well played,
know,
gentlemen.
Exactly.
Well played.
But it was about the 60th anniversary special Star Beast, and the complaints specifically focused on the terms. These are the terms that were used a lot: anti-male, inappropriate inclusion of a transgender character in the story, Rose Noble.
How can you be inappropriately included? Like,
I
that
know, right?
Doesn't make any sense.
No,
It's words. We went to a dictionary, found some words,
guess,
put them
yeah.
together, and said, "There we go. That's my email."
this is
Send
this
that
is
off.
why I fear that this year is going to be the last year of America unless we do things right. But that's a statistical blip, 144. But
Drop in
yet
the
they
bucket.
still felt that they had to release a statement saying, "Get over it." Basically,
But I
is
think
what the
that-
statement
but I-
said.
And I'm going to say that I will back them as much as the BBC needs my backing. Just say, yes, address it and just go, yeah, this is reflecting what the world looks like today. Deal with it. You know, if you don't
Yeah.
like it, put yourself in your little compound, in your little enclave
Well,
somewhere and call
If
it
the
a
only
day.
if the only thing you're proud of is your race or your gender or your nationality, you have nothing else going for you.
Exactly.
Find something else to be proud of.
Yep.
And you know, first, I'm angry that the BBC answered to 144 complaints, but B, I'm happy they answered with "Get over it." That's what I
Yeah,
liked about it.
sure.
So.
And like I said, substitute anti-male inclusionary or whatever phrase you want to stick in there with any other race, any other creed, any
Yep.
other religion, and
Yeah.
it's the same thing. So the fact that they responded, kudos to the BBC for going,
Yeah.
knock it
Get
off.
off. Yeah, and then there was the culture war is coming for Star Wars once again because the talks about the Rey movie is coming up,
Mary Sue.
and so
Where'd my Ray go?
and there was a big Fox News story. I just loved it because this is how wrong and stupid that they are.
I know what
over-
you're talking about.
over
You
at
need the
Fox News
picture.
because she's going. Yeah, she's going on about how
There it is.
Star Wars is woke and blah blah blah, and because they got all these. That's why I'm a Trekkie, and she went like this. She did the Vulcan hand salute backwards,
Couldn't be bothered to Google it
and
like once.
I would just like to point out to her, Star Trek's been woke since it was created. All right,
Seriously, day one.
You are not a Trekkie, my dear. You are not.
But it didn't offend my delicate. The TOS didn't offend my delicate sensibilities.
But I mean, and then there was some other right wing troll talking about how Kathleen Kennedy is a failed producer, and I just like to say, okay, Indiana Jones, Poltergeist, E.T., Gremlins, Back to the Future, Goonies, Batteries Not Included, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Schindler's List, Jurassic Park, Twister, Star Wars, and more. That's
It just takes that one bad apple.
It's
Yeah.
so reductive. It's
It
so
really
reductive.
is.
She's been producing for that long. Like
Oh, yeah.
ET and
she's
stuff?
been
She's
with
a
Lucasfilm
legend.
since the beginning.
Yeah.
Wow.
and Amblin before that.
And Amblin before that, exactly. Thank you, Mike. So I just want to say, get over this shit, all right? And as Mike said, if that's what defines you, you got problems. All right, if that's anyway.
Expand your areas of interest and the things you're proud of.
Exactly.
You know?
And the rest of us will keep doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll just go about our business.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Star Wars Land. Now, people want to know about Avengers Campus. We're going to do a deep dive on that next week. All right? Because it's not nearly as interesting as Star Wars Land. I loved it, but it's not nearly as interesting. Now, Tony's got some pictures up here on the YouTube channel. This is obviously a promotional shot because my shots aren't that good.
Yeah. I just wanted to have an overview shot of
Yeah.
what the the main area looks
So
like.
you
I was
get an
I was
idea.
going to ask Carrie how he managed to levitate
Exactly.
up to that.
Oh, I took a drone. No, see, that's the thing is that my whole plan is to shoot a bunch of video for the Patreon. But here's the thing. I got caught up in having so much fun being at Disneyland by myself that I forgot. I
Good.
forgot why I was there. All right.
No, you were there to have fun. You
Yeah, he's
understood the
doing it.
assignment.
He's
you
doing
did
it
the
right
thing.
here.
Exactly. And this was part of the fun. This is directly underneath the Millennium Falcon that you saw. And suddenly, out of nowhere, out of the corner of my eye, here comes, God damn it, it's R2-D2. And I can hear him, and he's chirping, and he's beeping. And then they escort him behind this fence here. And he spent a good half hour just going up and down that fence, making sure that everybody could get a picture with him and videotape him and everything. It was wonderful. And you can see a slight tear in my eye if you look very closely. You can see.
Yeah.
Right there.
But that was just part of the fun. Do you have the Boba Fett picture?
Sure do.
This was also part of the fun, where you're just walking through the whole place, and you encounter characters all over the place. Oh, excuse me, sir, may I take a picture with you? You ask politely because, well, he is the most fearsome bounty hunter in the galaxy.
Yeah.
But that's just the kind of stuff that is cool about Star Wars Land. Here's the thing. There is so much detail in this whole place. I'm not exaggerating. Every inch of it has been thought through and detailed clearly by Star Wars fans. You can tell that the Imagineers all love this franchise with a passion. Every inch of this place, every little corner, you'll look into a place and you'll see a detail. And that's the stuff that Disneyland has lost over the years, and it's now back with Star Wars Land. What we used to refer to as the Disney attention to detail. Just amazing. Walking around, just interacting, just walking through the place. It's wonderful because they've done this like they do in Toontown. The walls are up high enough so that you don't get the idea that you're in Disneyland.
Ah, yeah.
Well, and there's a transition too as you come
Yes.
out of the other lands into Batuu. The music starts slowly changing, and by the
Yes.
time you come out of the tunnel and it opens up, it's just it hits you in a
Yeah,
way
so-
that
Wow.
Suddenly you're in Star Wars. You're in the Star Wars movie, and it's just again with all of this attention to detail, it's just astounding.
from the prices. They don't put the prices in just dollars and
I thought you were going to say the prices are astounding.
prices are.
Oh, they are.
They're out of this world,
Oh,
Tony.
trust me. There's not a goddamn thing in this place that's inexpensive. Trust me.
Yeah, if you want a business school lesson on monetizing content, there you go.
Oh, Jesus, yes. Okay.
They're now doing. I just saw they're doing. I don't know if they were doing this when you were there, Carrie, but they're doing photo shoots now at $100 a pop
Whoa.
Dollars for a
in
picture.
So it's-
Galaxy's Edge.
So it's like if you want for sure to get your picture taken with R2 or whoever.
I think it's like you can. You and whoever else is in the photo with you, you kind of become like a character, and then they do a photo shoot with you, kind of wherever you want to do it. I haven't done it or
Oh.
seen it yet, but
Oh, Carrie's going back.
No, see, that's a great idea. We did a similar thing in Korea, and it's a picture you'll never see, where I dressed as. This is a picture you will never see. We all went to get our
Well.
pictures taken, and
Boudoir.
everyone wore traditional ancient Korean garb, and I got to wear. It was very much cultural
pants.
appropriation, so you will never see these photos. But it was like $100, and you could wear the costumes, and the pictures looked. It was terrific. Anyway,
even the Coke bottles are little I forget
Thermal
the
detonators.
grenades. Yeah, thermal detonators.
they look like thermal
detonators,
detonators. Yeah. And speaking of drinks, let's go to that picture there, Tony. Here's my caveat about Oga's Cantina, all right? I was able to get in about a 15-minute wait because I was by myself. They said, oh, you can go up to the bar. Now, if you're going with more people, that it's going to be more difficult, and try to make a reservation on the app. Good luck. But I managed to get into Oga's, and you can see here on my photo, those are IG-88 heads that dispense the various beverages that are on on the menu.
So your beverage comes out of the skull of one of their enemies.
Exactly. Now, as I showed you before, and I think it wasn't last week, but the week before, we had a video. This is my travel pack.
Yeah, I love it.
As you can see here, I got the Starfleet emblem on there. I'll come back to this pin later. But the Starfleet emblem, so I've got my pack up on the bar.
Here, put your pack up again. Let me make
You
it
can
big.
see there. There you go.
Uh-huh.
There we go. See? But so I put my pack up on the bar, and I'm ordering a couple of drinks because you have a limited time in Oga's Cantina because of the demand. You have, I think it's like a 2-drink maximum. I've never heard of a bar with a maximum, but there you go. So I tried one, I tried another, and I said to the bartender, I said, these are just so damn sweet. I'm sorry. Now, if you like that kind of drink, hey, go with Crom, enjoy it. But they were just so sugary sweet. I would even hazard a guess that without the alcohol, Tony, they would be even too sweet for you.
Baloney.
Probably.
Challenge accepted.
And I said to the bartender,
Let's do it. I'm ready.
I said to the bartender, these are just too damn sweet for me, but I do want to enjoy a beverage while I'm here. What do you suggest? And she said, I'll be right back. And she comes with a traditional wine glass, like the one I have upstairs, not a stemware, but just a round wine glass. You've seen them, filled with blue liquid. And she said, "This is what we call," and she had some Star Wars name for it. "This is what we call blah 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 blah." It's Chardonnay with blue food coloring, or. And she pointed at my pack and said, "You could pretend it's Romulan ale. I won't tell anyone." And she walked away.
Oh no! Oh no!
Love it. Love
Now,
it.
this was the first
Shut
instance.
down the stream. Disney's coming. Disney.
Well, this was the second instance of people noticing my Starfleet patch in Disneyland. The first one was I went to a character breakfast at the Critter Cafe or whatever it was called. I used to go there because the food was good and you could meet the characters. Usually Chip and Dale is there, Mickey is usually there, Pluto is usually there, and I got to see all of them, and that was cool. I'll show you those pictures next week. But as I was leaving, it's a high security area because it's in the Grand Californian where this restaurant is. So I'm heading out, and you have to go through, like at the airport, metal detectors. And because I'm the lone weirdo, they want to spend more time with me. So
Hey, this guy's alone. Bother him.
So they're going through my pack, and they empty my pack and everything. And one of the security guys sees the Starfleet pin, points at it, and goes, "Oh, yeah, we don't own them yet." Which I thought was terrific.
I was going to say there are more people coming for Star Trek than. One quick pointer on this cantina.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of years ago, I had a particularly rough year, and so we were taking the kids down to Disneyland a bunch. And make your reservation when you make your reservation for the tickets. Reserve.
Yes.
If you can, make your reservation for the cantina. If you can't get the reservation, go sit across from the entrance to the cantina, and you can sit there and refresh the app, and openings will become available. It'll take, like, Carrie, I think you were alluding to this, maybe 15 to 30 minutes.
Yeah,
but you'll eventually get a reservation.
I just went and stood in line because I was by myself. I knew I'd get into the bar. But if you've got a group with you, that's a different thing. I tried to make a reservation at the cantina. One person, I tried to make a reservation at the cantina when I got the tickets, and it just wouldn't let me. No matter what combinations I used, there's 5 of me. It just wouldn't let me. So,
Can I jump on something really quick in from the chat?
yes.
Charles mentioned Disney will probably buy Star Trek someday. A minute or so ago, and we've got the current hullabaloo about Paramount and Warner Brothers trying to hammer something out, which I'm really hoping does not happen.
Me too.
I have thoughts if you want them, but go ahead, Robert.
Yes,
Speaking of
no,
albatrosses, Paramount, are you listening? Speaking of albatrosses.
Listen, as much as I would love Captain Batman of the USS Enterprise, I think it's a bad idea.
I think that meeting was leaked
Oh,
because it was a exploratory meeting between Zaz and Paramount, and Paramount has been for sale for quite some time.
Yes.
And there are other suitors for Paramount that are out there right now. And I think that it was probably leaked by Paramount's side in order to get some of the other people to step up faster.
Interesting.
The other thing that I would say is I work in this industry, so I get bits and pieces. So as I've watched the concerns about Star Trek, I mean, I get it. That was my first thought too, is like, oh no, Star Trek's really doing great. It's kind of the golden goose right now for Paramount. They don't really have anything else, and they're not investing in anything else at the moment because they're for sale. So why put the cash outlay to develop something big that might not do as well as you hope while you're for sale? But there's an aspect of this I haven't seen discussed, which is if that is the biggest property for Paramount, I don't think whoever buys it can just you can't kill the golden goose.
No.
It's got to continue. And so,
Yeah.
whether it's, Disney or Warner, or, I mean, in some respects, it'd be better for Star Trek to end up in the hands of Warner or Disney, who we know are very protective of IP and want to continue to develop IP, than a hedge fund.
I agree with that.
That's true.
But my thing is if they get snapped up by someone like Zaslav or Disney or whatever, I don't want the Trek to be watered down and made a quantity golden goose instead of a quality golden goose.
That's true, but at the same time,
So-
I can see it because, as I said in my video, imagine if Star Trek had their shit together. So imagine if Disney had it. Boy, what kind of a Starfleet Academy could they build? A whole,
Damn you, Carrie.
a whole event space. Wouldn't that would
There's
just
pros.
be-
There's pros and cons. I think.
Yeah,
There
and
is.
There's a con.
I could
Ricardo
talk about-
Montalban.
I could talk about this all
out.
day. Robert, I stepped on a point you were making.
Well, we can talk
No,
about
you're
it.
fine.
We could talk about it in the Patreon if you'd like. We can go on
Sure.
about it in the Patreon afterwards. So geekshowgotthiscovered.com is where you go. So let's talk about Savi's Workshop real quick here and what an
is
experience that was.
This one.
This is the one that I was hesitant about. All right, look, don't give me a picture yet. Let me set the stage, and then
Okay.
it'll give you time to find the picture. Mike was the one who was like, "You gotta go, and I'm like, "God damn, that's a lot of money, Mike. That's $250." And he's like, "Trust me,
Is expensive.
it's going to be worth it." And
It's
I went,
cheap for you because you don't have two kids too.
"Exactly."
It's $750
That's
for
the
Mike.
thing. I went by myself, and I keep saying over and over, I don't know how a family can afford to do this. Anyway, so
You close your eyes and hand them the credit card.
that's all I can figure is that's what you're doing.
Future Mike can deal with this problem.
That sounds like a
Present
problem.
Mike is going to have a good time.
Mike, yeah. So So I make the reservation. I show up at the appointed time, and now this is different than anything else in the Star Wars land. There's no real sign. There's no real indication that this is a thing.
It's a secret rebel outpost.
It's like a secret rebel outpost because you have to remember the timeline of Batu is in these new movies, and so Jedis are Order 66 is well in effect. We can't have Jedis around here. So I'm standing there and I'm like, am I in the right place or something? And some guy comes up to me and he's dressed as like a local in Batu, and he says, "Oh, you seem lost. Do you need to be somewhere?"
It's creepy.
And I thought about playing for a second, but then I went, no. I said, "I have an appointment at 5:30. "Oh, an appointment, you say?" And they're playing this whole coy
Love it.
thing,
Oh, why wasn't I there, Carrie? I'm
And they're
so
like,
upset right now.
they're like, "Why don't you come and stand over here for a moment?" I went, "All right, fine." So then they finally come up and they say, "All right, come on up to the table." And
Okay. I have a picture of you at the table, I think.
no, that's me in the Millennium Falcon. But
Oh, okay. Oh, that's the
you can show
chessboard
that if you'd
table.
like.
Okay.
But So they said, okay, here's the deal. We're going to take you into Savi's workshop. You're going to build your own lightsaber. You now have to decide what your purpose is. That's me on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
You have to decide what your purpose is when you meet with one of the gatherers, is what they're called. He says,
This
so
is, Carrie,
yeah.
I don't think we can undersell this Millennium Falcon, the queue to get on the Smuggler's Run, and this spot, to be able to sit in those chairs, and you're sort of just milling about. And I have a picture with me and my kids, and I'm nearly bawling. I can't believe that I'm standing there or sitting there.
You can see the tears in my eyes there.
Yeah. Sorry, it's just
fun.
so well done, though.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Enhance.
Computer enhance.
You bastard. Anyway, so they want to know what your purpose is with the lightsaber, and they give you 4 choices: peace and justice, power and control, elemental nature, protection and defense. So it's like a philosophical thing. You have to think to yourself, what do I think I represent? What do I want to represent? What do I want to show? Think about it.
Feels like I'm making a Baldur's Gate character.
Yeah. So I went with peace and justice. And at that point, the gatherer gave me this pin.
Oh.
Okay,
And
hang
said-
on. I can make you the big one solo layout. There we go.
And he said, and the gatherer said, "Here, wear this pin over your heart." And I went, okay. So I put it on my shirt, and that's secretly how they find, who the lightsaber builders are. But that's, the thing. So here you go. And each pin was different for each 4 categories. You go inside to Savi's workshop, and there's a little bit of a presentation, a little bit of a show. And then they come up to you with choices. You custom built your lightsaber. They bring you a tray. And in the tray, there are several choices of different parts. They said, let's start with the hilt. So they pull it out. This thing was hollow. I don't know how this magic works, but that thing was hollow when I held it up. I could see through it. It was kind of like a tube. There was some stuff in there, but it was like a tube. They said, pick your hilt. And I had a couple of choices, so I picked the hilt. And then they said, okay, now you got to pick a sleeve. And there are 2 different choices of a sleeve.
Did you choose the wizard sleeve?
And then they get to the stones, the kyber crystals.
Yeah.
And there's a whole presentation about them, about what each one means and what each one's different powers are, and they talk about it. And it was great because the woman doing the presentation got to the red ones and said, and now we need to talk about these. And it was funny because all the little kids picked the bad guy lightsabers. All the little kids, every one of them.
A bunch of hellions in there.
Every one of them were picking the bad guy lightsabers. And as it was happening, I could see the people in there just going like,
oh man,
shaking their heads.
One thing we should say is, if you haven't done it yourself and you plan to, you should not listen to, because this Carrie's calling it a presentation. You're part of a shared experience.
Yes, I'm underselling it. Yeah.
It's moving, and so if you're considering doing it, especially before we get to the tail end here, skip this, because you should have that emotional moment free of expectation.
I guess I should put a warning at the beginning of the episode. But then there's the crystals that you choose. And they said, now keep in mind they each mean something, and they talk about the meaning of each one. And so I went with blue. And then there are pommel caps that you have to pick, and activation plates. And that's the switch.
Oh.
And they said, okay, now we're going to test to see if they work. And they said, okay, on your right, you will insert your hilt here and then twist it. Just keep twisting it until it stops. It was okay, great. I said, okay, now find the switch, push it forward, and we'll see if it works. Everyone, and we have to do it together, and we do it together. And that's when the lights go down and the music swells. And
you're bringing a tear to my eye, Carrie.
And
sitting here.
Everyone turns them on, and there's your lightsaber, and it's inside the table, your workshop table that you're on. And they said, okay, now pull, and you pull it out, And sure enough, there's the blade. You can go to the picture now. And the blade is there.
Oh.
Now you need to keep in mind, these things are not plastic props. I mean,
they feel screen accurate.
They do.
They're heavy.
They are heavy. They are metal. They are intricately designed. And that was when I said, worth the $250 right there. After the experience and the getting the product and everything, you can see it there.
There's the music, but also there's an audio. There's some audio clips of some of our Jedi mentors. That it's pretty moving.
And you can see this is the tray. Here's, if you go to my camera here, this is the tray that you get, and they help you assemble your own lightsaber.
And that's only in the Peace and Justice, or I think that's Peace and Justice. But each one has a whole selection of different parts that you can choose from.
And this will give you an idea. This is a promotional photo as well, but this will give you an idea of what you're looking at here.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
For all of that. And but anyway, that's the lightsaber I built right there. And if you go to the other picture, it gives you a little closer look at more detail. You can see the button there. You don't press down on it; you push up, and that's what activates it. And it makes the sound. And when you move the saber, it makes the moving sound with it. Zh, zh, zh. And it's a brilliant prop and worth the money, but also awkward as hell. I decided not to bring it home.
Wait, what?
What?
I left it at my brother-in-law's because Sue is going out in April, and she's going to bring it home for me in the car.
Oh, okay.
There is a way to disconnect the blade from the hilt. I just didn't feel like messing with it and taking it on a plane.
Now, let me just say this.
You could have just carried it on like, I'm here to protect this blade.
Just
They also give you a sleeve. They also give you a carrying case sleeve that you can carry it around it.
I've been saying this for years. I feel like a long time ago in a galaxy far away, they never had anyone that ever studied ergonomics. Because you look at that handle, and that's is not a comfortable looking handle. And
it's not.
All of the lightsabers they've ever shown look like if you squeeze them too hard, your hand would start to bleed or ache or both. And it's like, why are these? Just wrap it with leather. I mean, how hard is that? You know?
Well, then, see, you would clearly want the elemental choice.
You have to hold it like a baby bird, Tony.
A baby bird that you're fighting for your life with.
It's part of the training.
Clearly.
That's funny. Anyway, so I recommend doing Savi's Workshop, and I highly recommend Star Wars Land. Also, I haven't touched on it yet, but the Rise of the Resistance ride, I'll give it a one-word review, and that is, if you're a Star Wars fan, that is church. All right? I was blown away. I was completely blown away by that entire experience. You can
Every
go online,
moment. The queue is
everything
classic.
about it.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're back to that Disney attention to detail with Star Wars Land. And I will bring that up again next week when we talk about Avengers Campus and the lack of detail.
Which is amazing.
I still had a great time, don't
disagree.
get me wrong, but I think, after going to Star Wars Land, and I'm like, this is it? Anyway.
That's all you got.
What did we consume this week? What do you have? Who wants to go first?
Okay.
You go, Ruff.
So I finally finished Neverwhere, which I've been reading for 6 years now. Enjoyed that. Got a new book for Christmas from Nnedi Okorafor called Shadow Speaker. I'm only a couple of chapters into it, but I am quite enjoying it. It is a Afrofuturism story, and it's set in Africa, and the characters that I've been introduced to so far, compelling. I'm enjoying it, so we'll see how that shakes out. Over the break, we broke out a game that we've been playing for the past yearish called Forbidden Island. And it is, if you have 20-ish minutes for a game for 2 to 6 people or 2 to 6 teams, it's fun. You're basically, you and your team are dropped into an island that is sinking, and you've got to recover 4 artifacts before the island sinks. Different characters have different abilities. Some of them can help, keep parts of the island from sinking. Some of them can, help transfer items from one character to another. And for the first time in the year that we've had it, and playing it as all 4 of us, we finally beat the game. My wife and I have beat it before a couple of times without the kids, somehow. And but it's a fun game, and I do recommend it from Game Right Games, Forbidden Island. So check that out at a game shop near you.
Second person in a week to recommend that game to me, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
That should tell you something. And then I've got to scoot back just a second for this one.
Okay. Excuse me while I whip this out.
So, whoa. He took it
Phrasing.
out.
Phrasing.
Wow. A little bit of my childhood, the tail end of a cartoon.
Oh, yeah. I saw your pictures. Yes.
So Super 7 did a couple of Silverhawks, or has done the Silverhawks line. And I was not a huge Thundercats kid, but this came along. I'm just kind of like, so it's like space cops with wings and all of this stuff. Couldn't pass it up. So that's been what I've done over the past week. And then the new Monarch. Ooh, boy, if you've not seen the new episode of Monarch,
I caught up
holy
on
cow.
Monarch.
Yep. I'm happy. I'm loving that show. Everyone is complaining to me that there's not enough Godzilla in it. And I'm like, it's just enough.
This is the MCU TV show to the Godzilla to the movie.
Yeah. And it's finally starting to tie in all the stuff that they kind of allude to in the movies that Monarch does. Because in the movies, Monarch just looks like the biggest pile of crap organization that doesn't know at all what they're doing. You know what I mean? And now we're finally getting to see, okay, this is what they actually do. This is the hurdles they come up against and everything. So.
And I'll say this, Marvel, Kevin Feige, and I know he listens to this show. I found your Psylocke, and she's the star of Monarch, all right?
Ooh.
She would be
the one who,
terrific.
Duval?
Yes, I think that's her name. I can't remember.
Kate. No, Duval.
Randa daughter.
Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway.
Rena Wabi or Asabi or Ren
I
something
can't remember her name.
with an A.
But she is your Psylocke right there. Anyway. Who's next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
I think I'm a little over halfway done with Alan Wake 2. That game is rad. Okay, if you're at all liked the first Alan Wake game or Control or anything Remedy's done, you got to check out Alan Wake 2. Really, really good stuff. Or if you're into scary games, because it's spookies for sure. We need to get Rebecca playing this game because I think she'd have a blast with it. And then I started a third, two more playthroughs of Baldur's Gate 3 because, new year, you got to play it again. And Baldur's Gate 3 is just absolutely phenomenal. Excellent game. Monarch, we caught up on Monarch. So good. And then we finished up the last season of Letterkenny last night.
No, really?
And it was a good send-off. They did a good job with the last season. I think the last season was probably better than the previous 2 seasons, which I felt like kind of lost its way a little bit. They were still entertaining, but not as good as the earlier stuff. But the final season was good, and they ended it really well. I think that's it.
All right. Mike?
I'll call it there.
Yeah, so it was the holidays, and I have kids, so we went to some movies. Saw Wish first, which I had very low expectations for, but I thought was beautiful and really had some, visually beautiful because it's got a lot of the classic watercolor backgrounds mixed in with the, the 3D animation and so forth.
The Wish merchandise was everywhere at Disneyland.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
You saw that star everywhere.
I think it's, is it a top 5 Disney movie? Probably not, but I think it's been hammered a little too much. I enjoyed it, and kids will enjoy it. I saw Wonka, which, as low as my expectations were for Wish, I think maybe my expectations for Wonka were even lower. And I came out of there thinking, well, first off, Chalamet,
It actually works.
just oozes charm. That guy, oh my goodness. And I'd watch another movie with him and Wonka. And the box office is sort of proving this as well, that Something
doing
about this
well.
is working. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. A couple recommendations. Guardians of the Galaxy is free on the Epic Game Store now.
Oh, it is.
It was only free for the one day.
No, it's still free.
Is
I
it still
just
free?
checked. I
Oh,
just
nice.
checked.
Yeah, grab
just to
that
make
up.
sure.
If you don't have that,
I don't.
That is a
grab
good
it.
time.
Well,
it is a lot of fun.
It's free on PC, Carrie. So if
Oh,
you don't
well,
play
that's
on
not
PC,
me.
it won't be free.
All right.
And
I'll just come down and steal your copy, Mike, for my Xbox.
come play, Carrie, anytime. There's a card game called Lorcana that came out in the last several months, and I finally got around to trying that. I'm a huge card game nerd. So Santa brought my kids some Lorcana cards, and we've been playing those, and it's a lot of fun. It's sort of Magic the Gathering adjacent, with some interesting mechanics. There's a book I want to recommend to all creatives out there called The War of Art. If you've been sitting around thinking, you have a story in your head, or you have a song in your head, or whatever your creation might be, and you haven't done it yet, go buy a copy. It's $10 on Amazon.
Okay.
It's called The War of Art. And I read it in probably, I don't know, an hour and a half, something like that. It's quite
not
short.
A long book. Okay.
No, it's not long at all. And there are some kind of mythical elements to it, almost quasi-religious elements to it, but it's making a much bigger point in sort of Joseph Campbellian terms, in mythological terms. And I think if you've got a story in you, or a creation, art in you that's yet to come out, go get a copy of that book, and I think it will really inspire you. Cool. And finally, a recommendation against something: the Lego Hulkbuster has been the bane of my existence for like 9 months. It's thousands of little fiddly bits, and I finally finished it.
Now
and it's sitting right up there, and I hate it.
You folks need to know, Mike loves these Lego sets. He loves them.
I do.
They're his god, and to have him speak out against one is almost heresy. It's
I'm
almost
so glad
heresy.
it's done. Although there was a really funny moment where I was building it on a table in our living room, and I finally connected the legs to the torso. And I sat back, and I'm laughing to myself, and my wife walks in, and she goes, "Is this a new child?" Because it was seriously like, it's like 2.5 feet tall. It's bigger than a
What?
baby. It's
Holy
it's large.
That's crazy.
But my goodness, that thing was so hard. Well, it wasn't hard to build. It just took forever because it's all the little like 1 or 2 piece Legos on
Yes.
top of each other in
Oh,
order
I
to
hate
build
that.
the insides, and then finally you have the big panels that kind of click on the outside. But
Sounds
More
tedious.
patience than I do.
I'm glad it's done.
All right, just real quick here. Equalizer 3 is just dumb fun, so watch it. It's for free most places now, and they're always satisfying. I can't explain it. Maybe it's just because Denzel's so goddamn good. I don't know. It's just I had a great time with Equalizer 3. All of those movies are fun. But here's my next tip for Disneyland, because this has 4 of my favorite action figures in it. And I wasn't going to buy anything besides the lightsaber, because I thought, I'm going to carry stuff home. But then I saw this. And what it is it's a package of the retro Star Wars action figures, right? And 4 of my favorite action figures are in it. You got the Jawa and the Sand Person, and you got R2 and 3PO. And it was the only one there. The rest of them were Return of the Jedi, and I was like, oh, this is the only classic Star Wars one it's got the Jawas, it's got the Sand People, I better get this. I picked it up and went right to the cash register. She swiped my credit card, and I went, oh my God. See, they don't put the price. They don't put the price on things anymore. And then I looked,
credits. It's in credits.
little tiny print on the bottom, and then I went, oh my God, that's more than I should have paid for that.
How much? How much was it?
$90.
Whoa! What?
Exactly.
Wow.
That's too goddamn much for these. So keep an eye open when you're shopping at Disneyland.
Did they still have the
$90?
BD droids?
Yeah, oh yeah, they have the. I nearly bought one of those, but then I
want
thought,
one of those.
Getting it home is just the thing that I was thinking about.
Wow.
Very cool droids in the droid factory. So
Yeah.
certainly.
Can I go back to something that Mike said just a minute ago? Because he brought his kids into this. And over the holidays, we were trying to figure out what to watch with the kids. And when they were little, they were like, we want to be spies. And we're just like, Mission Impossible. So we introduced my girls to Mission Impossible, the Tom Cruise movie. And it's in much the same way that playing D&D with my girls is eye-opening. Watching movies with them is also eye-opening because they have insights that, from at being 12, that at 53, I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess that would be a thing for you. So we watched the first one New Year's Eve, and, Diana came up with rule 1, don't trust anyone. And I'm like, good, keep that in mind. And the next day, we're trying to figure out something to do just to kind of kill time. She's like, can we watch MI2? And I'm like, yes. Because
That one's rough.
it's rough. It's
Yes.
rough because going back and watching it, much like Phantom Menace, I swore never to watch that movie again. And then I had kids and had no choice.
Yep.
Watching it with them made it palatable. Not necessarily enjoyable, but palatable. And this with MI2 is like the story wasn't horrible. The direction wasn't horrible, but the
It's
two
a
together.
lot of John Woo.
It's a lot of John Woo.
Okay,
And
that's
it's
the
just
John
kind of
Woo one. All right.
But, she came out of this one going, watching Tom Cruise trying to destroy the virus in here, and he's just taking his time. She's like, hurry up, you don't have enough time. And, she's like, why am I getting so anxious about this movie? And I'm
See,
just
when you said my kids wanted to be spies, and I said I thought I'd introduce them to. I thought you were going to say Spy Kids.
they saw that
too on the
many
nose.
rains past.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, they saw that many rains past, and they're just
I
kinda
don't know
like,
from kids.
meh.
So.
Meh. But this one, so now we're going to be going through the franchise with my children, and I think I'm going to have to start live tweeting again because the things they come up with while watching these movies is gold.
Now, that's the one when Tom Cruise uses a bike to block bullets, right? Like he just pops a wheelie.
Pops a
And,
wheelie, doesn't
like-
puncture the gas tank,
No,
and then
no, no. It's
crashes
like, this
head
is
on at 60
bulletproof
miles an
bike.
hour into Doug Ray Scott
Yeah. Okay.
off a
for that.
cliff.
There's the John Woo right there.
Games? Is there anything post Christmas? I doubt it. Right?
No, there's
I
not.
didn't think so. All right. Okay, we're going to go to the Patreon for the after show. Join us if you would like. GeekShowGotThisCovered.com. Unless you're already a member, join us there. And live long and prosper, bitches.
Pushing the button.